93.2902. Okay, so what exactly does it take for an entire nation to hit this extremely specific score? Well, it's definitely not just some random number pulled out of thin air. It actually represents the absolute gold standard, the current benchmark in global digital governance.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a fascinating journey. We're going to zoom all the way out to look at the big picture of global government data. And then we'll zoom right back down to ground level to explore the actual educational blueprints that make these massive civic transformations a reality.
So, here's our roadmap for today's Explainer. We'll kick things off with the global digital government rankings, take a peek inside Denmark's digital success, and then tackle the future tech challenges. After that, we'll pivot to building the educational foundation, shine a spotlight on De La Salle, and wrap up with how we're driving future tech research. Let's dive right in.
Part 1. Global Digital Government Rankings, the 30,000-foot view.
To really get our bearings, we're pulling our baseline data from the 18th Waseda IAC World Digital Government Ranking for 2023. Now, this is a seriously comprehensive report. Put together by Waseda University and the International Academy of CIO, it evaluated 66 advanced countries across 10 major indicators to accurately track their digital progress.
And look at who's at the very top of the pack. Denmark takes the #1 spot with that total score of 93.2902. They're followed pretty closely by Canada, England, and New Zealand. If you scan through the top 10, you'll notice a clear trend, right? The highest ranks are totally dominated by Scandinavian, North American, and leading Asian nations.
Moving on to Part 2, inside Denmark's digital success.
Now, you might be wondering, how exactly did Denmark pull this off? Well, their Digital Growth Strategy 2025 focuses heavily on incredibly user-friendly digital public services. They figured out early on that doing digital government at scale requires two things: deep trust and hyper-efficiency for the citizens actually using it.
And they really built the whole shebang. These tools are completely integrated into everyday Danish life. You've got NemID and MitID for universal digital identification. Then there's Digital Post, which is literally a secure mailbox for official communications, plus Borger.dk acting as the central hub. Add in mobile apps for things like driver's licenses and health IDs, and the results are staggering. Over 90% of Danes use these primary tools securely. In fact, this infrastructure is so robust, it's what allowed Denmark to be the very first EU country to rapidly ditch their COVID restrictions. Talk about a real game changer.
Part 3. The Future Tech Challenges. But hey, maintaining that kind of digital leadership, it's an uphill battle. The executive summary of the Waseda report highlights some massive socioeconomic hurdles on the horizon. Even the top-tier countries are grappling with a severe digital innovation gap and the intense, very real pressures of a rapidly aging society.
Let's break down a few of the specific roadblocks they found. The report flags things like digital transformation challenges, green transformation for climate change, digital inclusion, and of course, cybersecurity threats. But I want you to focus on the second point on this list, the critical shortage of ICT engineers. I mean, to deploy advanced tech like digital twins, 5G, blockchain, and AI, governments are absolutely desperate for human capital. So where on earth do nations source this highly skilled workforce to keep their digital dreams afloat?
Part 4. Building the educational foundation.
It really comes down to supply and demand. On one side, the Waseda report spells out the urgent policy need for skilled tech engineers and cybersecurity experts. And on the flip side, educational networks act as the supply chain for that exact workforce. It's like a giant puzzle. A top-down digital government strategy simply cannot work without a solid, bottom-up educational foundation to support it.
Part 5. Spotlight on De La Salle.
To see what this supply chain looks like in action, let's look at the De La Salle network in the Philippines. If we trace its history, we see an incredible evolution designed to meet those growing national tech demands. It started out as just a single college in Manila back in 1911, expanded into a whole university system in 1987, and finally unified as the De La Salle Philippines network in 2006. And that decades-long expansion leads us to a really important number: 16. Today, this unified network encompasses 16 distinct educational institutions. And they aren't just clustered in one place. They are strategically spread all across the major island groups of Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao.
Now, think about that for a second. How do you effectively manage 16 different institutions to consistently produce top-tier talent? Well, it takes a highly organized, top-down structure. You've got the National Mission Council acting as the highest policymaking body. You have corporate members that include all incumbent trustees, and a president who acts as both the chief mission officer and CEO. This specific setup allows the entire network to efficiently manage finances, deploy vital resources, and, most importantly, scale up their STEM education programs with one unified vision.
Finally, Part 6. Driving future tech research. So operating right within this massive university system are some incredibly specialized research centers. We're talking about the Advanced Research Institute for Informatics, Computing, and Networking, the Center for Engineering and Sustainable Development Research, and the Institute of Biomedical Engineering and Health Technologies. Guys, these aren't just fancy names. These labs are the exact real-world institutional responses to that massive global demand for advanced AI, IoT, and health tech professionals we talked about earlier.
And the connection here is just absolutely brilliant. Remember how the Wasada report highlighted green transformation as a major global policy goal to fight climate change? Well, directly responding to that need, De La Salle is running the Center for Engineering and Sustainable Development Research. It perfectly illustrates how a top-tier international policy goal relies completely on the grassroots, day-to-day work happening right inside these university laboratories.
So, what does this all mean? The grand thesis of today's explainer is exactly this. A society's digital transformation requires both top-down government strategy and bottom-up educational infrastructure. You literally cannot achieve world-class civic models like what we see in Denmark without fundamentally powering them through robust, forward-thinking educational networks that actually produce the human talent.
Which leaves us with a pretty provocative question to chew on. How is your local infrastructure preparing for the digital future? Take a look around your own community. Are your local government policies and educational institutions actually working together to build the innovators of tomorrow? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep exploring the structures around you, and I'll see you next time.